Okay, let's do a demo on getting started with LabView. So we're running on a Mac here, so assuming you have the program installed, start it running however you need to. Often it comes up with this education window, just close that up. So we're doing LabView 2016. You can see your recent files from this window, or you can start a new program. LabView calls programs VIs, virtual instruments. Okay, so let's start our own blank VI like you'll be doing from your homework, starting from scratch. Okay, so each program in LabView has two different windows. Let's just tile them left and right so we can see everything here. It has the front panel. This is the user interface, inputs, things that you want to control, that the user have control over, go here, and then outputs that you want the user to see are here. Switches, things like that are here. And the front panel. So this is kind of the user interface. The brains behind it is the block diagram. This is where we do the programming. LabView is a kind of a graphic programming language. You don't type lines of code, you put symbols and things on there that represent functions. And so the block diagram has a functions palette. These are all the things that we can add to our programs. And so we have these different choices here, these menus that come down, and these are folders that contain even more stuff, so lots of choices. The front panel has a similar thing. It has the controls palette, and again, lots of choices, menus inside of it. Okay, so let's start with the controls palette for getting things in and out. And so we're just going to do a simple example where we're going to put in a couple of numbers. So numerical control is a number input. Control is an input, something the user controls. Okay, numerical indicator is something that we can see. It indicates the output. All right, so the indicators are output. So let's just do simple numerical things here. So we'll put two numbers in and two numbers out. Let's just change this to A, call it A. Let's do capital A. Why can't it do capital? And let's call this one, double click on it or whatever, select it however you want to. And B, and let's just do some, have MATLAB do some, or not MATLAB, LabView do some math for us here. So let's call this A plus B. And let's call this one A minus B. So you notice as we were typing all these things on the front panel, things were happening over here on the block diagram. So the block diagram is where the programming is done. And so we've got these kind of empty slates here, these things that need to be connected, or we call it wired together, on the block diagram, the program part. Alright, so we want to do some numeric things, adding, subtracting, and numeric. So let's click the numeric folder, and here's an add, one of the very first things. So let's put an add function up here, and let's put a subtract. So you just click on them on the palette and drag them and let go onto the block diagram. You notice when we move over them, things happen. And so when I move my mouse around, it automatically comes up to be like a little spool of wire, and the pieces on the function start. So this is X, this one is Y, and this is X plus Y. So these little circles are inputs and outputs that we can wire to. The constants have only one. When I go over them, it just has one, and it turns to a wire here. So I want A here, so I'm going to click when it's a little wire, spool of wire, and I can let go, and it follows me, and I get to the X or the Y. I can choose where A is on X or Y. Can't go to an output really, but anyway, A is on X, so I click again, and it completes the wire. Okay. I want B, so I come over here, it turns to a spool again when I get in the right place. Click, drag it over, and if you hold the mouse down, it automatically makes its own line, but if you kind of let go and then click again, you can make it kind of go a little more where you want it to. With practice, you can make it look neat. So now I'm over the Y. You see it blinking in the background on the function plus. So if I click now, it makes a good wire. If I kind of randomly make a wire, let's see, make a wire and it goes to nowhere, you can double click and it's there, and it's like it's not working, it's not good, it's messed up. We can go to edit and remove broken wires. Notice it's also a command B on a Mac, and it cleans up the mess. On a PC, it would be control B. Yeah. Okay, so we've got the A plus B, and now the output of the function is X plus Y. So notice the little yellow thing there. So I've got my spool of wire. I'm going to take this and I'm going to go over to the indicator, which only takes inputs. You see it blinking there in the background and the circles there. So I let go and it connects to A plus B. Alright, so now if I want to go over here and see if it works, notice this tab or this line up here, this bar up here, has a run continuously, stop, pause, stuff up here. But it won't run because it says list errors. It's not ready to run. And the problem is I have things here that are not connected. So let's go finish here. So I want to take this A and B to come to the minus function and go over here also. Let's just wire the output first. So again, I put my mouse in the right place. It turns, notice the blinking, and I'm on the X minus Y. So I click, hold it down, let go on the A minus B indicator. Okay. Now I want A to come to the X here. So I go to the line, and so I'm going to just kind of think of connecting a wire or tapping off of the A. All of this is A. So anywhere I touch on the wire A, I can bring it over to this one. So it's blinking, I click, follows me down, I get to the X on this one. I don't want it on the Y because I want it A minus B, so this is X minus Y. So I'm going to go to the X and let go. Same thing here, I can get the Y, the B, starts blinking. When I get the mouse in the right place, click, and then drag it over to the Y here. When it's blinking, I can let go, and it'll be a nice connected wire. So I got everything connected, so I think we can go over here and run it. So let's put in 7 for A, 3 for B. Nothing happens, notice, until we run it. So if we run it here, now A plus B is 10, A minus B is 4. Good. So I can, make this 10 instead or something, run it again, and the A plus B and A minus B change accordingly. You get kind of tired of clicking here and then running each time, so you can also do a run continuously. It just runs the program over and over again. So now if you notice, as I change A, the A minus B and A plus B change automatically, or change right as I do it. I don't have to run each time. It's running continuously. So whatever's here just keeps running over and over again until I hit the stop button in either one of these windows. That's when I stop. Alright, let's do a little bit fancier thing here. Let's say we want to, let's look around. We can make some little bit different kind of indicators. Let's do where we can do indicators or controls. Let's do I don't know, a vertical progress bar. Let's put one of those on there, see what happens. And let's do some of these. Let's do a thermometer for an output. And maybe make B into a knob. How about that? So let's get rid of our old A and B, and let's make the slide be our A and the knob be our B. Okay, so these are going to be our ways that we can click and slide that. We can put inputs in. So now as we put those over here, we've messed up our block diagram. See all these broken wires and weird things happening because I deleted stuff. So let's do a command B, get rid of the broken wires, and let's do why is it over on that side? I don't know. So this looks like I got the wrong thing. It looks like it's an indicator and not a, let me see if I can wire this to X. No, it won't let me do it because I'm trying to take an indicator and it needs a control. So let's get rid of that. I got the wrong thing. Go away. Command B, get rid of the broken wires. Let's go back over here. I want something that's an actual input that we can put in. Control. Is this a control? Is that what I just had? Oh, this looks good over here. Okay, so this one actually is a control, so we can wire it to X. Works just fine, and we can take off of it again. Come down to the X of the adder. Same thing for this one. This is an output. We can take it to Y. Come off of it again. Get it to blink with my wire. There we go. And I don't like to go on top of things there. Come to Y of the adder. Okay, so now we've got A plus B going here, and let's just make the thermometer also be A plus B. So let's just take it off the thermometer, call it A plus B. And then take a wire from A plus B here. All of this wire is A plus B, so let's just tap off of that and put it to here. So now A plus B is going to show us a number and be a part of the thermometer. And let's just run that. And now when I turn my little knob here, things change, or I can slide this up and down. Things change. So again, the front panel, let me stop it. The front panel is the user interface, inputs and outputs showing here. The block diagram is the programming showing the connections and what the functions and what's happening. Alright, what else can we do here? Well, I get a little tired of doing the running continuously, and if you've done programming before, you know that there are things called loops. So a loop in a program is something that repeats itself, and there are various kinds of loops. So this is in LabView, this is inside structures, and we're going to do a while loop. So if you click on the while loop, then you have to draw a loop, or draw a circle, or not a circle, a rectangle around what you want to happen over and over again. So we want our whole program to happen over and over again, and we have this little loop condition here. So as long as this is false, the loop will keep going, but when it gets to be true, this is kind of our stop. Whenever we're feeding in here is false, we're okay. It means don't stop. But whenever stop gets to be true, then the loop is going to stop. For now, let's try. There's another neat function in LabView, is a right click or a control click, and it gives you some options to do for this thing. So let's create a constant. It's going to say stop if true. So we're going to make it just a constant that says false all the time. So our loop will like never stop on its own. It'll always be false. It's a constant false going in here, and so it'll never get a true. So we're going to still have to stop it with the stop controls outside of on the program LabView itself, but let's just put it in there. And so now we can not click run continuously, we can just click run. So it's really just running the program once, but the program itself has this loop that keeps running and running and running, right? And so we can change these and things happen. So it's like it's running continuously like we had before, but now we have a loop and it doesn't. So, but our loop doesn't have any way out, so we have to stop it, force stop it. Alright, so let's go here and let's delete this constant. You notice the constant can change true or false, but let's select it, delete it. Let's do something a little more, makes a little more sense for that. So let's go to comparison, and let's just say if A minus B is less than 0, we're going to stop. Okay, so pull our little less than function over here. We're saying if A minus B, little wire, okay. A minus B, I'm going to pull down to the X, and now Y, I want to create a constant for that. So you could go find a number constant somewhere in the toolbox, or you can do the control click on a Mac or right click on the PC and it brings up this window, create a constant, and it makes one for you. Okay, and so it automatically made it 0. So if A minus B is less than 0, then this is going to, notice it's green because it's a true or false kind of thing. It's not a number coming out. So if it is less than 0, this is going to turn into a true, and then our loop should stop. Okay, so because this stop says the loop condition. Whenever it gets to be true, then it stops. Well, let's see how this works. So we'll do run. We're going. I don't know if I can make. Okay, I can't make my B be negative. So we can change these limits though on the fly. So let's just make this a -10. So now B is going from 10 to -10. And now if I go, whoop, I killed it already. Let's run it again. Okay, so it's running. Now if I get B to negative, A minus B, can I get A minus B? Oh, yeah, okay. A minus B goes negative and my program stops. I don't need B to be negative or A minus B to be negative. What am I thinking? Okay, but that brings up a point here though. We can change the values on these sliders as we want to and give it a new range. Even for the indicators, we can make them have a different range as we go. Okay, so this one's above the limit, so that's not very helpful. Alright, so you can change these indicators, and we got the condition working to stop our loop here. What else can we do? Let's look around in here. Another thing is switches. Okay, so we can have, this is in the, let's stop it here, on the front panel, and so we can have Boolean controls, they call them, but switches, on-off switches. And so let's do this little function here. Let's put a switch in here, and then, let's say if the switch is one way, the switch is up towards this way, we'll call it A times B. Should we put AX, A times, no, let's just put A little x B. And then if it's down, we're going to have it be A divided by B. We need to, how can we tell people what we're doing here? Let's put in a, I'm not sure how the best way to, what is my computer doing? To get a, it's doing something I don't want to do. I want to just put a different label on. Okay. Kill LabView. Okay, I don't know if it's still working out, but let's see, show block diagram too. What stage were we at? Maybe it's okay. Well, let's, okay, so we're going to put a switch in here, and we're going to call it A times B for the up position, and I was trying to add in just a text box. I think that something called decorations down here, and I think I can just, there's like a text box, a label that I can put on here, and we'll say A divided by B. Okay, so we've got our Boolean switch here, and then we're going to make just a, go back down and find a numeric out indicator also. Okay, let's just call this the answer. Okay, so notice over in here we have our switch and we have our answer. So now what we're going to do is have a selector. So let's go over here, and there's a comparison folder. There's something called a selector, select. We're going to put in here. And the select function, notice it has orange inputs for numbers, but it has a green input for our true or false, just like our stop switch had. And so we're going to wire a toggle switch to the green, to the true false. And when the switch is up, it'll be true, and we want it to be A minus, or A times B. So let's move this over a little bit. We need some math functions again. Let's go out to the main program, arithmetic. So we got to multiply, and then we're going to divide also. Okay. Oh, when we get close, it made a little wire all by itself. You see that? Okay, nice. And then I'm going to wire this one here. And then I'm going to take A, which is a slide. How come I never called it A? I guess, maybe, anyway, call it A. So A, if I can get a hold of it, come into the X of the multiply, and I want A, to come into the X of the divide, and then B come into the Y of the multiply. Getting kind of messy in my wiring, but B come into the Y of the divide. So hopefully you can kind of see that, and then the answer. So if this is true, whatever is coming into the true Y signal will come out. And if it's false, if the switch is down, it's false, then whatever's coming into the bottom, the false line, will go out. Okay? So let's look at that. Let's run this one over here. So now the switch is down. It's not a number. Okay. What happened? won't run because, oh, do I have a minus b less than 0? Okay, let's make a bigger so we can get numbers come out here. Okay, our program is running. And if I switch these, the answer changes. I assume this one is a times b. Let's get some numbers that we can. Let's make a so many. A is about 4. B is about 6. Okay, so a times b is about 24. 4 times 6. And a divided by b is about 1.5. Okay, so it looks like it's working there. We got our controls. We got our indicators, and we got our Boolean switch making things happen. Okay, what else? We talked about our for loop. Okay, let's look at. So this is the VI we started from scratch that we're looking at. Let's close these out. I get rid of them. It should come up with the window again, and let's look at a program that I've already written before, that somebody else has already written before, so we can learn from it. So you can close everything up and come here to open an existing file, or you can go to File, Open, and on Canvas we have some VIs for you to look at, like I think they're in the lecture VIs, LabView lecture VIs maybe. Anyway, there are a group of them that are like what we've made in here, but I want to look at the Intro C VI here, right here, LabView Intro 1C. So it brings up this one that somebody's already written, has some familiar looking things and some new things, but we're missing the control panel. So let's go to the block diagram. So show the block diagram here. And so I want to just point out that you can learn some things by looking at other people's VIs. One thing that helps is something called context help. There's this little window that comes up, and when you hover over things, it tells you a little bit about those things. It can get irritating after a while if you don't want to pay attention to it, but it's kind of nice to have there. And you can see you can get it from here, or you can do a Shift Command H, or I think it's Control H on the PC to either bring it up or put it away, or you can put it away like that. Okay, so let's look at this. We see some things. Actually, let's put that back on. Shift Command H. What is this thing? This is a strange looking thing. And so it's a millisecond multiple. It waits in a certain value of time, and so you can make your loop wait for a while until it does something. This one is not really connected to anything, so I don't think it's doing anything. But you can kind of study other people's programs by using this help. Contextual help. Let's look at this. What is this? Okay, this is an absolute value function. So x comes in, takes the absolute value, and goes out. So what's going on here? So we have this. Looks like a meter, and I think I've seen those before. We go back here. In the numeric, it's down here. We can grab one of these and make a meter like they have there. Right? So that's pretty easy to do. And what's this? This is actually a stop button. So this button, if we wanted to have control over stopping our loop instead of less than or greater than, we can actually make this button program in. So when it's true, when the button is pushed, it gets a true and it stops the program. Okay, so that's the loop, stops the loop. All right. And so that's another way to break out of a loop. We have a selector like we did before. This is kind of like what we had before with our multiply and divide. And but this one is selecting colors. And so when the value of the output is greater than, absolute value of it is greater than 1.5, it's selecting green, and when it's less than, or no, when it's greater than, it's selecting red, and when it's less than, it's selecting green. For the indicator. So let's run this thing. Okay, and we can, here's a different kind of input slider, and when it's big, it should get red. The little needle, I think, gets red. Okay, let's make A plus B. And it'll get bigger. There. So now when it's big, it gets red. When it gets smaller, it gets green. And if I click the stop button, it connects to the indicator and it stopped the program from running. Okay, got out of the loop. All right, so let's see how to do this stuff with the meter. So it's a little bit kind of fancy thing, but let's see what we can do. So with, like I said before, if you right click or Mac control click on something, you can bring up stuff about the properties and things you can do. And so this one, we want to create a property node, and in this case they did a caption text. So let's just do caption text. Like here they have a caption text. So this is associated with our little meter too, but we're kind of copying what they did there. Okay, so no, let's do this again. When this runs, notice when we switch here, it switches from A plus B. I don't know why it doesn't say A plus B. But when we, the caption up here is changing when I toggle the switch, okay? And that's coming from this selector, right? It's this toggle switch is here, A plus B and A minus B is going into this selector as well, and it has two choices, A plus B or A minus B, that go to the caption text of the meter, okay? And so let's get the meter. These are kind of separate, they don't have to be connected very well, but so for this caption text, now we can add more properties. This one also has a FG color, foreground color, which is changing this needle. So we can click on here, we can drag down and bring more properties out, and we can find, let's see, what's this one called altogether? It's called slider color, foreground color. So let's find, it's down here, slider colors, foreground color. Just kind of copying what they did. But notice these have inputs, right? These are selecting and giving inputs, where ours are outputs. So we can right click on this or control click, and we can change them to right. So all these properties were changed to right, so we can actually tell them what they should be. Okay? And it's not going to like this because it's not inside the loop. So let's go ahead and grab our stuff and just stick it inside the loop a minute here. Just for our program to run a little bit better. I think it will like it better if it's in there. I'm not sure. Okay, so we need to tell it something for the caption text. So again, we can do our control click or right click on here. We can create a constant. And for our little meter, let's just call it hello, I don't know, whatever. And for our foreground color, now if we right click or shift control click and create a constant here, it gives us a number, not a color. See, they have these neat little colors. So this doesn't write. So let's click on that. And what we want, and now there's a broken wire, control B. What we want really is a color box. And so let's search here. One thing you can do with these in the control palette is search for things. So let's search for color. Oh, don't die on me again. Color box. Color box constant. Okay. So if we double click on this, it actually opens up our menus to show us where it is. So it's in programming, graphics and sound, picture functions, and then there's something called the color box constant right here. So let's drag one of those, put it up here close. Oh, and I got close enough that it actually wired it directly to it. Okay, or you could wire it to there. Okay, so we made our own little meter. It should say hello as its caption text, and it should be black indicator. It should be measuring something. Let's just connect it. Let's just connect it to the random number, just for fun. Okay, so let's run this, see what happens. So we're running. Uh-oh. Cannot get a set of price that has not been released. I thought it said that when something was outside the loop. What's the matter here? I don't know if it doesn't like this. Something is not good here. You have to create a caption here. Okay, well, I'm not quite sure what the error is. I've had that error before when something was not connected like it should be. So this is the caption. If we do a right click over here, I think it has everything. Visible items, caption. Okay, I don't know if I had to set the caption to be visible or what, but now it's working. This is black. It's going crazy with the number there. If we stop it, or I could have clicked the stop button, change this color just for fun, make it pink, and run again. Yeah, now our little indicator is pink. Alright, so hopefully that gives you an idea of a lot of the functions that we can do, how to learn from the context help, how to use the right click or control click to get have it create the constants or what we need to create. And so for your homework, you will be doing a VI from scratch using a lot of these functions. You can make it pretty basic or fancier, however you want. You see there are lots of options, lots of things you can do. So there you have a basic introduction to